Hey there, guys. Welcome, 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 welcome. Hello, hello, hello. I want to welcome you to today's broadcast. We are live and we are in full effect. And I want to absolutely make sure that you guys can see me, that you guys can hear me. So I want to see you post in our chat below. I want to see you post in our chat to let me know that you're here. I see Anita Mack is here with us today. Welcome, Anita. I'm so happy to have you. Everybody else, come on into our class. Class is in 5 p.m. Pacific Standard. And let me know that you guys can hear me because I'm doing this new setup. And I'm going to just double check. It looks like I'm on, so I'm good. Today's talk is going to be really great for my competitors. Hey there, Amber. Welcome, Joyce. Amber, you can't see me because I do not have a video in. This is class, and in class, I got slides for you ladies. So, welcome to today's class. Welcome to today's live broadcast. Today, we're going to be talking about practical contest prep for figure. Okay, so you guys can hear me just fine. That's great. I see you all responding here. And this is going to be a great conversation for those of you out there who are my figure competitors, who are first timers, my figure competitors who are experienced, seasoned competitors, my competitors out there who are looking to take on the national level and turn pro, and my pro competitors who are looking to get to the top level of the sport. Because I really feel that for, whatever stage you're at in this game, that it's super important to kind of just refresh yourself and to just relearn some things, learn some new things that you may not have thought about, and just really set yourself up for the amazingness that the sport of bodybuilding and physique competing can be. I hear stories so many times about women embarking on this journey and then quitting because of the fact that they had a bad experience or that they really feel like it's too hard. And I think that for each of us that gets involved in this sport, that we do this because we think it's going to be something that pushes us forward. We think it's going to be something that should encourage us, which it should. And so I want to talk about some tips today that I call practical contest prep tips for those who are thinking about competing in figure, women's physique, fitness, and even bikini as well. I don't necessarily talk about bikini as much because I get a lot of figure girls that come to me, a lot of women's physique because that's my background, but it applies to all divisions. So I want to go ahead and tell you guys about what today's agenda is going to be. So have your pens ready, have your paper ready to take some notes. There will be the video replay right after this. So if you watch this and you're like, man, there was some great stuff I got to go back and watch, you'll be able to do that. Do me a favor right now. If you are not subscribed to my channel, click the red button to make sure that you subscribe. And even more, you guys, even if you are subscribed, click the bell notification so that way when I go live with videos and stuff gets posted, you get alerted right away through YouTube. So today's agenda, we're going to take a look at common pitfalls competitors face in the area of contest prep. We're going to discuss ways to be able to prep for your show in a way that considers your health, all while ensuring or enduring the rigors of the sport. We're going to briefly touch upon some things to consider before choosing a show and the importance of off-season training leading up to your next prep. So this is going to be really jam-packed. Throw some likes in there if you like this topic as well. The more you hit like, the more that YouTube is going to serve this to the people that need to see it, guys. And, you may not be working with me right now, but you can definitely help me to get the word out about what some good, smart contest prep stuff is by just sharing, liking, and all that stuff. Now, before we get into today's conversation, I got some free gifts for you. I always got something for you to take away. Today, my offer is my free contest prep crash course for those of you that do not have this yet. I created a full ebook. It's 80 plus pages of some firsthand experience from my own experience and that of dealing with clients from around the globe, different divisions and all that stuff about how to prep for your show the right way, the smart way, the healthy way. My contest prep crash course is definitely for those of you who want to get into this sport, who want to be serious about it, or if you are seasoned and you're trying to do things better. Go ahead and download it at rockstarfitness.com. Please spell it correctly. ROXSTAR fitness.com/CPCC. Contest Prep Crash Course. Okay, there's a link right there for you on the screen. In the replay, I'll put the active link up for you so you can go ahead and download that. In addition to the ebook, you guys, I've got a video library for you that goes into so many things surrounding prep and all that stuff for you guys to check out. And you'll also become a part of my email list where I'll send you some more information about how you can go about doing your prep in the smartest way possible. Now, of course, listen, I got to pay the bills here. So I got to let those of you know who are in the area of looking for a coach, whether you compete now or not. If you want to talk to me about working with me closely as your coach, your mentor, your guide, then I want you to contact me at the end of this video. rockstarfitness.com/clarity call. Set up a 30-minute call. Let's talk about your goals. Let's talk about what it is that's been holding you back from getting those goals. Let's go ahead and talk about a game plan to getting you to those goals. And then we'll decide, whether or not you and I working together is a possible thing. Look, guys, my prep coaching is not just giving somebody a training program and a diet and telling them to go ahead and check in each week. We're going to work on mindset. We're going to work on posing. We're going to work on presentation. We're going to work on everything that you need, and keep your head on the game and make sure that you are presenting your best. Because if you're a rock star, honey, I'm not letting you get out on stage with my name behind you looking a hot mess. So if you want to go ahead and talk to me, we'll talk about this a little bit more at the end of today's lesson. But guys, hey, look, I'm running a business here, so I got to make sure I reach those people that need my help. So without further ado, let's go ahead and jump right into today's lessons. I'm reading your comments here. Anita says her first show is August 17th. Fantastic, Anita. You're going to really love some of the stuff that I have to share with you today. It's going to help you to, keep your focus as you go into that show. And I saw somebody else tell me first show in 3 weeks. That's Joyce. Joyce, wonderful. 3 weeks out. It's a lot of time to make some changes. So hopefully some of the stuff that we talk about today will give you some ideas about, how you can continue to do things better. So the first thing that I want to talk about from our agenda, common pitfalls that competitors are seeing before they're embarking on their prep or in the midst of it. And first I'm going to point out the pitfalls, and then I'm going to give you a couple of solutions and tips on how you can do things better in that way. So number one, common pitfall I see with a lot of competitors is that you're not allowing enough time to prep, okay? You're not allowing yourself enough time to prep. Now, what usually happens is you get a competitor that wants to prep for a show, right? So the first thing you do is you run to your local state federation calendar, right? So if you're NPC, you go to your local state NPC website. If you're in one of the other divisions, you go to the local website there, and you'll see when the next show is. And then you'll just haphazardly pick a date like, oh, this sounds good. And maybe it's 12 weeks from today, maybe it's 8 weeks, maybe it's whatever, but you pick your show and you decide that, yeah, I'm going to do that. And you may or may not be ready for that. And then what happens is you start on that prep and you're rushing around, you're trying to get everything together, you're worried, you're in your head, and boom, now it's like freak out mode the entire time, and you hate competition prep. You don't want to do this ever again. Ladies, the number one way to avoid that is being more strategic about when you decide or how much time you decide to prep. So the first thing that you can do, let's say you were to contact me like, Rox, I want to do a show. And I'll ask you, all right, cool. When are you thinking? When's that show date? If you're a brand new competitor, I'm going to tell you, look, as a first timer, you might want to think about giving yourself about 16 to 20 weeks to fully prep for that show. And that's just the contest prep portion of it. You guys, you want to allow yourself enough time to be able to come into your shows the right way without having to kill yourself and move heaven and earth to do it. So giving yourself enough time, there's nothing wrong with that. So new competitors, I say you got to give yourself about 16 to 20 weeks. For experienced competitors, 12 to 16 would probably be a good starting point, provided that you kept yourself in shape in between your shows. So pitfall number one, not allowing enough time to prep is one of the things I always see people doing, and we're going to talk about that a little bit later when I give you some action tips. And I always say, again, in this situation, more time is always better than less. The second pitfall I see with a lot of competitors coming right out of the gate is that they're doing too much cardio on the front end of their programming. You know, a lot of you start working with coaches who are taking a more old school bodybuilding approach to things, which, listen, I'm not going to knock anybody's game. If that's all you know, that's all you know. But that doesn't mean that it's practical or that it's the only way to do things. I've seen competitors come to me who might be working with another coach, or maybe they finished working with someone and they want to do something better. And they're like, hey, I have 12 weeks out and I'm doing 2 hours of cardio a day. Holy crap. Do you actually think you're going to make it to the end of 12 weeks doing 2 hours of cardio a day now? You know what I mean? Imagine what that does to your metabolism over time. And this game of prep is all about manipulating metabolism, hormone, and all this stuff, and not even necessarily using drugs to do it. So doing too much cardio out of the gate, we're going to talk about cardio programming in a bit on how you can do it better, but that's another common pitfall I see with a lot of competitors. Pitfall number 3 I see with a lot of competitors, cutting your diet too low at the front end of your prep. You guys, it's the law of diminishing returns. At some point, you can only cut your calories so low before you're just eating nothing but air and your metabolism is slowed to crap like molasses and you're not seeing any results. Raise your hand if you've ever been there, and raise your hand if you're there now, particularly if you got another 8 to 12 weeks before your show. Okay. Let me tell you, this stuff happens. There comes a point where, you really have to think a lot more strategically. And with the science that we know nowadays and the research that we have nowadays, there's no excuse for any coach to be doing these crazy things with their clients. So red alert, if you're going through that, I'm going to give you some pointers and tips about how you can approach your dieting a lot better. You are not practicing posing enough. I cannot tell you how many times I get calls from competitors who are not my clients, who ask me to do posing sessions with them. And I offer that over Skype for any of you that are interested in doing posing sessions with me. But they're like, I have 4 weeks to my show. I have 2 weeks. And you are just starting to pose now, girl. You should have been posing by the time you decided that you wanted to start your prep. So a lot of you ladies are not posing enough. And here's the thing, when you don't pose enough, posing, that's the art of bodybuilding. The judges don't care how the heck you got there. They don't care what you did to get lean. They're not asking you your body fat percentage. None of them, they don't care how much you weigh unless you're a bodybuilder, okay? They don't care how much you weigh even if you're women's physique, okay? Because we're not judged on weight classes. We're judged on height classes and figure and women's physique and fitness and even bikini, okay? So the art of the sport of bodybuilding, no matter what your division, is posing. And the trick about posing is learning how to, first of all, learning exactly what the shape that the judges want and what they're looking for, what they're trained to see. That's a whole other topic that I probably won't even get into today because I can go off on a tangent on that, honey, because I love talking about posing. But I digress. But also knowing how to show your strengths while hiding your flaws and weaknesses. And for figure girls, that is the X-frame, and looking at your physique and your genetics and where you are and learning how to pose to bring out the best, closest thing that you can to that X-frame. That is what you should be practicing over and 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 over again, okay? From the time you decide that you're gonna start competing. So posing, big one. I'll talk about that in a minute. I keep on saying I'm going to talk about it in a minute because I have this section where I'm going to give you guys solutions. Let me just get through these pitfalls. Next thing, you're waiting until the last minute to order your suit. You guys, you can't order your suit when you have like 6 weeks left to your show. Like, you should really start looking at suits and presentation and all that stuff at the beginning of your prep. By the time, a lot of suit designers do require that you at least contact them before like 8 weeks out. So make sure that you're getting on top of that. And then the final thing that I see is another pitfall for a lot of competitors who are going out there who want to prep and do figure and all that stuff is that you have too many cooks in the freaking kitchen. You're working with a coach that you don't feel who you can trust. So you're going and you're asking every Tom, Dick, Harry, and Henrietta and Sally Sue and everybody else for their opinions about your prep because you don't feel confident in what you're being told. Okay, so that's another pitfall that we're gonna stop and take a look at. So Now that we've got those pitfalls out of the way, all right, now I want to go ahead and take you into some solutions about ways to prep for your show in a healthier manner. Now, let me preface this by saying contest prep is not healthy. Let me say that again, because a lot of people assume because you're going to the gym and you're working out and you're dieting and you're quote unquote eating clean, that this has to be very healthy. Prep is the least healthiest thing that you can do for your body. It is not natural for the body to be completely shredded to the bone with every muscle striation poking out and still maintaining a degree of fullness and be able to walk around like you are not going to faint and pass out on a stage and show it to a panel of judges. It's not natural to the body. Everything about how we survived as a species, as humans, is the antithesis of what it takes to become a top-level competitor. So it's not really about doing a quote-unquote healthy contest prep. And I know I've used that moniker before, but it's just a way of communicating things in a way that people can grasp and understand. But since we're in class, let's break that down. A healthy contest prep, or a healthier way of doing things, is just about making sure that you are doing things as optimally as you can, even while pushing the extremes and pushing the limits, and listening to your body in the process of this. You know, that's what it's all about at the end of the day. So I need to make sure that you understand that before I get into these tips, okay? Because some of you may be working with coaches who do have your best interest at heart, and you're questioning things because you hear about people who say, oh, no cardio. Oh, I prep without cardio. I do 2 minutes of cardio and I'm eating pizza. And like, dude, 9 times out of 10, those are not the same people that are winning shows anyway. So even at my healthiest, quote unquote prep, like it was hard. And when I was the leanest I've ever been, I was literally getting out of my bed and crawling to the kitchen because I was so hungry when I woke up in the morning. It's not natural, you guys. And these are the things that are just going to happen sometimes when you are really pushing the extremes. So let's talk about how you can do it in a smarter way. Now, listen up here. I'm covering a lot of stuff. You guys probably have a lot of comments. You probably have a lot of questions. I want to see your questions. I want to see your thoughts. Even if it's just stuff you want to interject and blurb in there, put it in the comments so I can go ahead and take a look and point it out and talk about it and stuff like that. So do not be shy. This is class. I'm here to teach you. Any questions you have, post them so I can help you. If you are currently in prep and you have questions about your prep, post them. I can help you. If you haven't, started prep and you have questions, post them. I can help you. Okay. So tip number 1, let's get into some solutions here on how to go ahead and take a more practical, quote unquote, healthier way to prep. Your prep, this is number 1, okay? Put an asterisk on this and write this down. Your prep actually starts in your off season. I'm going to say it again. Your prep actually starts during your off season. For those of you who are seasoned competitors who have competed before, that means the moment that you step off of the stage, your next prep begins right at that time, okay? For those of you who've never competed before, that moment, that off season starts the moment that you decide that, yeah, I'm going to go ahead and do this. This is well before you picked a show. This is well before you know what the heck you're doing. You have to do things to change up the game, so when you're done with that prep and you're on that stage, you look spectacular. And for you those of you that have competed before, that you beat your best from the last time. Now, what I like to tell people is this: do not think about jumping right away into a prep. No, do not do that. Look at where you are at that moment that you decide that I'm going to compete. I want to step on the stage. Look at where you are and honestly take an assessment about that. Are there body parts that need to be brought up for better balance? Do you carry too much body fat right now and that you need to lower overall based on how you look on a day-to-day basis? Listen, If you're carrying 32% body fat or 30% or even 28% or so like that, don't start a prep there. Try to get your body fat down to about 20 to 22% before you start up your prep. So that way, again, you're not moving heaven and earth just to try to get on a freaking stage. Because if you really take your body fat percentage for competitors that actually take a real body fat percentage and not that crappy stuff, like normally at a woman's leanest on stage, she's probably going to be around 12%. 12 to even 14% for figure competitors. Bodybuilder women's physique who are shredded to the bone are anywhere between let's say 10% to 12%. Women typically will not naturally and fully be below 10%, or even you're pushing it at that 10% mark, because we have a lot of essential fat that is just there that helps us to function optimally as women. So when you see a woman say she's about 2% body fat or 3 or 4%, likely that's not correct. So look at yourself in the mirror, but you can kind of tell when you're carrying too much body fat and whether or not you need to bring that down before you go to prep for a show. Be honest with yourself. Are your eating habits healthy and stable enough to begin the rigors of a prep? Some of you ladies are out there dealing with all kinds of food issues. You're binging, you're stress eating, you're unable to really stick to a program and stay consistent with it. You've got a lot of things that need to be addressed first before you begin a prep. And it's really important that you address that, because any issues that are outstanding when you begin a prep only agonizes. If you're having trouble with, stress eating and binging, it only gets worse when you put the rigors of a date to get on a stage to look your leanest. You got to make sure that you have your mental together. All right. So are you eating with healthy habits? Are you stable enough to be able to begin the rigors of prep? Ask yourself that question, honestly answer it, and work on that in your off season. Are you eating in a caloric surplus or high maintenance number before you're cutting? This is something that should be a goal of yours when you are in that off season or in that pre-contest season. Okay, essentially, your goal at this time is to optimize your metabolism. For those of you who are getting off the stage, I told you that the moment you decide that you're shutting it down from your last show, that's when your next prep begins. So reverse dieting and working yourself up to maintenance after your season, very important. Also helps you to keep from rebounding. When you're going into your off season, you're trying to put in lean muscle. You want to make sure that you go ahead and increase your calories up above in a surplus to put on that lean tissue. I have a class called Lean Building 101. It's about an hour long, but I go into some deep detail about how you can do that easily and effectively. Go back and watch that video, Lean Building 101. All right. For those of you that have never prepped before, you're a first time competitor, you want to step on stage. If you're eating 1,200, 1,400, 1,600 calories a day, honey, you got to get those calories up. So you need to reverse diet as well. Get yourself up above 2,000 calories a day. Hopefully you're able to maintain your weight there, and then go to a surplus for a couple of weeks or a couple of months to put on some muscle, assess where your body is, see where you need to change your shape, put on some size, bring more symmetry and balance to your physique, and then you go ahead and prep for a show. Ladies, that is the secret to be able to do this stuff and do it successfully. There are people out there that are pros, that. And when the pros are out there, they're for the most part, a lot of the pros are living this as a lifestyle. And this is the way that they're looking at how they can go from season to season to get better and better and better. You can apply that too as an amateur. And for those of you that want to go up to that level, you've got to think more practically in this way. So you want to always think about how can I best optimize my body, optimize my time, and bring the best to the stage. And that's how you do it. Okay. Now let's go ahead and take a look at tip number 2. Please post your questions in there as they come up. When you are starting your prep, again, give yourself enough time for that show. So I touched upon that a little bit earlier, and I want to give you some practical solutions for that. So remember this, first of all. So let's go back for a second. So you're in this off season. Let's say you decided to take a good 6 months in an off season, right? Boom, boom, boom. All right. Before that 6 months is over, you've already picked your show. Let's say you do give yourself a good 16 to 20 weeks for any level, okay? Experienced or non-experienced. Give you 16 to 20 weeks for that next show. So you know the date, 16 weeks out, 20 weeks out, boom, this is where I'm going to start. Now here's what I got to say to you. Have that date in mind, But remember that you can always choose another show if you feel like you need more time. And my competitors, we do this all the time. I used to do this as when I competed as well. You don't have to stay married to a date. Yeah, it's going to feel great if you get there. And if you do, 99% of the time, you normally will. But if you feel like you need to give yourself more time, do not be afraid of that, ladies. And if you're working with a coach, express those things to them. Get them to tell you their opinions and make sure that they're telling you the truth. The worst thing that you can do is step on a stage when you know you're not ready and you don't feel ready and you do it anyway. There's a good thing about valor and all that stuff, but you want to look and feel good. So don't be afraid to move your shows. Give yourself enough time to prep and be flexible about that date as well. Another thing I want to say about this whole thing is you want to allow enough of that time. The reason why it's so crucial is that you want to be able to allow enough time to be able to adjust for normal metabolic slowdown that can happen during extreme fat loss. This is why having enough time is important, because you need to be able to anticipate stalls, stops, and everything else that will certainly happen during your prep that's going to freak you the hell out. So if you have 20 weeks for a show, right, and you're steadily moving along, and then by, let's say, you're 20 weeks, by 8 weeks in, 12 weeks out, boom, let's say your body hits a plateau. Wouldn't you rather have that happen then versus like 4 weeks out where like you have less time to fix things? At least if you still have another 12 weeks, you can say, all right, I'm going to go. This is what we'll do for some of my clients. We'll take like 2 weeks of a diet break where I'll have them at maintenance. And then boom, we'll go right into another fat loss phase and they're dropping like rocks, like crazy. So you want to make sure that the reason why you have enough time is to compensate for the metabolic slowdown that can happen, plus your ability to fix it, okay? Because the number one thing in this game, you guys, and the reason why having enough time to compete, I cannot stress this enough. Trust me, I'm talking about it like this because there's some of you out there that just don't listen, that say, I got 8 weeks out and you ain't ready. You want to be able to keep on as much muscle as possible in this process. You guys, that is bodybuilding. Bodybuilding isn't a game of how many times you can get on stage every single year. Bodybuilding is a game about how you can best your best, how you can keep as much muscle on as you get leaner. And a more strategic approach to this is needed versus crash dieting in order to see any of this stuff work. So please allow yourself the time to prep. I don't care if it seems like a long time for you. You are going to be thankful in the end when that body is hard, when that body is full, when you don't look stringy and you don't look as flat as a pancake because you needed to do this in 8 to 12 weeks. All right, let's get off of that soapbox and talk about tip number 3. Going back to kind of what I just touched on. It's a little sciencey stuff right here. What builds muscle keeps it in the face of fat loss. I want to turn the spotlight to how you're training and now how you can do that practically and better in this process. So in this whole process, if tons of cardio, okay, we're going back to that cardio thing. If tons of cardio didn't put muscle on your body, it's not going to help you keep it during fat loss. In fact, what it's going to do, it's going to help to eat through that right away. All right. The first thing that you guys need to realize in this whole game of contest prepping is that your diet is always going to dictate fat loss and everything else is going to just support that effort. And that's why doing hours upon hours upon hours of cardio is not ideal. Okay, overdoing it over long periods of time is not ideal. Now, what I want to say to you guys is that yes, there will be times where you need to push it harder, where you're going to have to go for longer durations. And that's more towards, in my opinion, towards like the middle to the end of your prep where you really push on the cardio. But at the same time, towards the back end, the last 2 weeks, you start backing that off. Okay, but doing this for months and months on end is a recipe for disaster, ladies. What builds muscle keeps it in the face of fat loss. So what you actually need to do to drive that fat loss is not only making sure your diet is pushing that, but you have to train heavy at all times. You have to challenge yourself in this process and just use the cardio portion as the icing on the cake to your diet and training to help to produce that fat loss. So get in that gym. Lift heavy, Lift with compound movements, train yourself in a way that's going to challenge yourself week after week to keep increasing your weights. My clients, when they're in the gym, they're still beating numbers, even as soon as like 2 weeks out. They're still pushing. They may be tired because that's just what happens when you increase the volume of training and the intensity is still high and the diet is low, but they still have the energy to be able to do what they have to do. So in that gym, don't put the emphasis all on the cardio. Start off with, as minimal amount as you can in the very beginning. And usually for a lot of people, that's 20 minutes, 30 minutes a day or so. You know what I mean? And then as you're pushing along, you got to make sure that diet is dragging the fat loss. You train in a way to keep the muscle on with your weights. When you get to about like eight weeks out or so, now that's where you can start to really push the intensity with the cardio, making sure that you're doing intervals, making sure that you're doing HIIT training, making sure that you also have a place for that long, steady state duration stuff. And you can go ahead and push the amount of time that you're doing it. Towards the last 4 weeks or so, that's where you can go ahead and push for longer durations if you need to, but the diet still drives everything. So ladies, please, I cannot implore you enough. Please start laying off the cardio. 2 hours out before 12 weeks out is too much. And I've seen this too many times than I can count. Be practical, push out those weights, challenge yourself, and do this smarter and better. And if you don't know how to do that, honey, you need to you don't have to work with me. Go find a coach that knows how to do this stuff, because you'll be happier that you did at the end of the day. The next tip on how you can start doing this stuff practically and a little bit healthier is to get yourself into the mental game. Now, here's the thing. Everybody thinks, again, that bodybuilding is just getting into the gym. Bodybuilding is just working out. It's dieting. It's all that stuff. It's going hard and going home. It's, balls to the wall. It's bigger, stronger, faster. Yeah, that could be one aspect of it, but I'll tell you what bodybuilding actually is. Bodybuilding is a mental sport. More than anything, it is a mental sport. And the way that I see it and the way that has gotten me to the top of the sport is through goal setting. Goal setting is really the key to unlocking, getting to your top potential within this sport. When I was competing, there are embarrassing videos of me actually from 2007. Go back. Is it 2007, 2008? Go back and look. It's on my channel. It's under a playlist called The Competitive Edge. And my first competition, the very first workout, I had recorded it and I put it on YouTube. Okay. And there are about maybe a series of 10 different videos about me and prepping for this show and all this stuff. Blah, 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 my first show ever. And in the first video, I said right away, I was like, I am going to be a competitor. I am going to win a trophy. And I am going to be an IFBB pro. No one could tell me anything. And I set that in motion from day one. First show out, I placed second, against two girls who were national level girls, and they were really, really great girls. I placed second in that show. I trained so much on focus to becoming a pro that in 2013, I finally got my pro card. Okay? And actually, that first video that I put out, I'm making a mistake. I think it was 2010, actually. So in a 3-year time span, I got my pro card. And then I just knew I was going to get to the Olympia. And the next year after I turned pro, I got to the Olympia. I was talking to a client of mine. She's a pro, and she's making her pro debut, and she's one of my rock stars. We actually turned pro in 2 different federations, in WBFF and IFBB together. And now she's making her pro debut. And we were talking about her goals and what it is that she wants to accomplish. And I said to her, what do you want? What do you want to do? She wants to be top 5 on the pro level, and she wants to go to the Olympia. And here's what I told her. I told her, the driving thing that got me to where I was that in every workout, every single workout, from the time I was an amateur, the goals that I wanted beat like a drum in my head for every rep, every set, That's all I saw. When I was doing bicep curls, lat pull downs, squats, deadlifts, when I was jumping and doing plyos, when I was running on the treadmill, when I was pulling the row machine, when I was pulling sleds across the gym, when I was running bleachers, when I was running the hills outside, there was one beat on my heart. When I was in the NPC, it was that I was going to be a pro. I'm going to be a pro. I'm going to be a pro. When I turned pro, I'm going to the Olympia. I'm going to the Olympia. Every day, you guys, this was nonstop. That was my mindset. That's all I knew. And in fact, when I turned pro, before I turned pro, I found the theme song to the Olympia and I listened to that every day while I was in 2013 when I was going for my pro card. Every day when I earned that pro card, every workout for 30 minutes or 45 minutes even, because from my way to the gym to the time I got to the gym, for 30 minutes of my workout, all I listened to was that Olympia theme song. That was it. Ladies, it takes that level of mental clarity and knowing what you want before you achieve it. So when I tell you that bodybuilding is a game of the mind, I'm telling you this from experience. I'm telling you this because I lived it. Not because I'm like, someone who did 5 little shows and I'm just spewing crap out there. I'm telling you this because I was you. But I didn't have people out there like myself talking to me like this. I had to figure this out on my own. So everything that I share with you guys is experience. I want you to feel my passion because I know what it takes to get there. The reason why you're sitting here listening to me today is because I carry this same amount of intensity into my business, into the way I work with my clients and everything, because mindset is the game of life. And so the number one thing to make your prep successful, practical, and healthier is to have the mindset of a champion. That no matter what, nobody's gonna stop you. Every rep, every set, every exercise, everything that you do is driven by the fact that you want to best your best. It's not about the girl on Instagram. It's not about the girl on Facebook. It's not about that, that BITCH type of girl at your gym who gives you dirty looks and who talks about you behind your back and says snide comments about you because she's a competitor and she's trying to get in your head. Don't worry about her. I got another video where you could deal with her. Okay. But anyway, y'all know who I'm talking about. We all seen them, but it's not about them. It's about you versus you in this sport. So I want to make sure that I drive that point home for you today. And hey, if I motivated you right now, I want you to go ahead and type yes, yes, yes. Type it in the chat so I can see it if you know what I'm talking about. But it's like you've got to make sure that the outcome that you want from this experience, you've got to keep that top of mind in the process so that way you can truly succeed in this game. That is the sport of bodybuilding. You master that, honey, the world is yours. Trust me. The next tip, and this is going back to diet here, okay? Be sure that you are strategically using cheat meals and refeeds in the process to keeping your metabolism going, okay? Here's the fact. Metabolic downregulation is a part of the process, no matter how healthy you go about doing a prep. That is physiology. That is the way the body works. The metabolism is going to downregulate the longer and harder that you diet. The body is trying to keep you alive, okay? So the thing that works to counter that is strategically increasing calories where needed and using the power of carbohydrates for metabolic upregulation. And that is really key, particularly if you're having long preps. Now, what the heck am I talking about when I'm saying using the power of carbohydrates? Refeeds, okay? So first of all, I personally, when I do client diets, I let them start off on a weekly cheat meal. And a lot of it has to do with the fact that, first of all, we have 16 to 20 weeks, and expecting someone to be completely clean on a diet for that time period it's really hard for anyone, okay? So my clients, knowing that they have that mental dietary freedom, that one day of the week where they have their cheat is great for them. And then after that, we might skip to doing cheat meals every other week, For some clients, I might take them away and say, okay, we're going to do it when your body dictates that you need it because we've got to push the diet more to get more fat loss so you can be on track. That's an option too. Another thing that I like is using the concept of refeeds, okay? And with refeeds, what's great is that for those of you who get a little wary about cheat meals and all that stuff, you don't want to binge, you don't want to go crazy, this allows you an opportunity, especially if you're doing like low carbs and stuff like that, or when you notice that your metabolism is a little bit sluggish, you can increase your calories towards maintenance. Let those calories come from mostly carbohydrates, okay? And you can increase your yams, you can increase your oats, you can increase your rice, the starchy things that are quote unquote clean, that'll help you to stay a little bit deeper in control of your diet, but also upregulate your metabolism. Now, why is this stuff so important? What happens with the body when you're in fat loss is that it's going to downregulate things like leptin, okay, which is like the master hormone to your metabolism. It's going to downregulate things like T3, which is, a hormone that's secreted T4 is secreted by the thyroid and it's converted to T3, but that's a whole nother story. But anyway, it's one of those master hormones that have to do with regulated metabolism as well. A bunch of other things get up and down regulated, which I won't talk about right now because then it'll sound like I'm talking about a science experiment. But when you have that increased level of carbohydrates, all of these hormones that do get down regulated, guess what? Boom, they go back up again. So now when you start to diet again, you have more regulated levels and then the body will start to creep back down again and then you'll have to bump up at a later date, maybe a week later, 2 weeks later, whatever. But it's a way of staying ahead of the body. I hate to say tricking the body because you're not tricking anything. Your body knows exactly what's going on, but it allows you to move in a way and do things in a way that keep you going. And you have to do that when you're talking about getting to super low levels of body fat. So for those of you that are out there that are with coaches that are not, giving you cheat meals and you're stalled and you're wondering why your body isn't changing, talk to your coach. Talk to your coach and ask them, hey, can we try this? I always think, you guys, when you work with someone and when you hire a coach, that you should really listen to what they're saying to tell you to do and always try it. Always try it. And what's important is that if you have questions, don't hold it in, to ask them these questions. Now, it's a problem if they don't want to explain things. It's a problem if they just say, do what I do, don't ask me any questions. Then maybe you didn't choose the right person for your needs. But don't be afraid to going to someone like, hey, look, what do you think about this? Can we try this? You know what I mean? Because I feel like you're an adult and you should be able to have these kind of conversations. So if you feel your body is stalled right now, some of you are in prep, and you don't know what else to do, and doing more cardio on top of what you're doing, plus eating the low calorie diets isn't working, bump it up and see what happens, okay? But yes, guys, strategically using these techniques are so important in the process. So make sure that you are getting your refeeds and cheat meals in there, okay? And the final thing that I'll say about, practical tips that nobody's really talking about that will help you to be better at this sport, again, goes back to choosing your shows wisely. Choosing your shows wisely. So not giving yourself enough time to prep, we kind of talked about, which is like shooting yourself in the foot, but also picking your shows in a way that gives you an advantage. All right. I always say that the game of choosing a show is like choosing a season or designing your season is like a chess game. Now, for newer competitors, this doesn't really apply to you too much. You can pick any show and just go in there, have fun, have the experience, and get it over with. I want to talk to my seasoned competitors here, and I want to talk to my pros here for a minute. You got to choose your shows like a chess game. If you are a competitor who's trying to get, to the national level and you're trying to get to the pro level, you want to make sure that you are choosing your shows in a wise way. I always say, look at the calendar and try to get to some of the big shows. So the big shows across the country, you might have to actually get used to traveling to compete. I traveled all around the United States as an amateur and a pro to get to that next level. Look at stuff like doing the Emerald Cup. Come on out here to Southern California and do any one of John Lindsay's shows, especially Tournament of Champions, especially the California State, the LA Grand, the Los Angeles Grand Prix. Those are some of the big shows out here that you want to get into. Get up north to Northern California and get in front of Sandy Williamson. I'm talking about the NPC shows, guys, because that's what I'm out of in the IFBB. come out here to Northern California and get into any of Spectrum Productions shows where Ted Williamson is the what do they call him? What's the producer? The person that runs the show. Okay, I can't think right now. The promoter. Sandy is always judging those shows. And if you can get feedback from Sandy, honey, that is going to be golden for you to get yourself moving to that next level and knowing what you have to work on. Getting up to the Emerald Cup. These are all the West Coast shows. Back in New York, there is any of Bev Francis's shows. You want to get out there. Louisiana, there's the Greater Gulf States, another opportunity to step in front of a panel of national level judges. So Gary Udich shows. He runs shows, I think, in the Chicago area. He has shows in Virginia and stuff like that. These are the shows you want to choose when you're trying to get to the national level, because you're going to be seen by a panel of judges that are going to judge you out there and give you real feedback about what you can do to be a better competitor. So choose your shows like a chess map, like a chess game. Once you do that, then you can go ahead and look at, okay, what national level shows do I want to do, and then planning that season for yourself. These can be long seasons for those of you that want to reach the next level. Like I have done shows, seasons where I had 6 or 7 shows in a season, and that is brutal. And I don't really advise you to do that unless you're super close to getting that carrot, you're super close to the nugget. But be smart, try to make these shows as back to back as you can. So you're just swinging from one to the next, and then maybe put a final cluster towards the end of the year so you can have a little bit of a break to build up your body a bit, take some rest, get your mind right, bring up some body parts, and then boom, finish your final cluster towards the end of the year. And that's something that's, that you're going to have to do when you are on the national level and when you are a pro, when you're trying to get those Olympia points, when you're trying to really push yourself out there. Be smart about it though, and make sure that you're mapping it out in a way that's going to give you recovery in between these shows as well. And then finally, goes for everybody. Practice, practice, practice. When it comes to choosing your shows, once you know what you're doing, you got your season mapped out, you better get up in that studio or wherever you want to go and practice your posing from day one. Ladies, I can't stress enough how much posing gets put on the back burner and how important it actually is in this game. Because what you need to learn how to do is continually present your best. And the more your body develops, the more it changes, the more you need to learn what it looks like and how to show it off even better. You spent months and weeks working on your back and your shoulders, and you're still posing as though you're like a newbie. No, come on, get out there. Spend at least, if you're a newbie, you've never done this before, you need to be posing an hour every single day. I don't care. 1 hour, get hungry for this and get hungry for showing your best. 1 hour every single day. Okay? Now, if you can't do that, that's fine. 1 hour, maybe 3 or 4 days a week, totally fine. Pros, get your life together. National level, get your life together and get in front of that mirror at least 20 to 30 minutes a day after every single workout that you do. Bring your heels, keep them in your bag, do it at the gym. Don't be afraid to pose in front of people, because guess what? You're going to be on a stage with people staring at you. 30 minutes, work on your quarter turns, work on how you walk across the stage. Make sure you know how to make that eye contact. Make sure you know how to smile and show your beauty, because you are a woman on stage and they want the women to be feminine, okay? Don't get triggered by that. Use it to your advantage. Become very poised. Learn how to, really nail your posing routine. Everybody has a posing routine, even figure, even bikini. Everybody has a posing routine. When you come to the middle, you do your little thing, your freestyle. That's your routine. Do it up, But here's the thing. Pose away from the mirror. Don't stay staring at yourself, because there's no mirror on stage. And make sure that you also bring your video camera and you record yourself when you are posing. So you can go back and look to see what you look like. And you can from there, really just work on all of that and see it with your own eyes and train your eyes to what needs to be improved. The judges are always going to look for one shape, okay? They're trained to see the X frame. I even talked about this with my bikini girls in a way, and it's really interesting. But they're trained to see certain angles, right? And like, you want to make sure that you are trying to present your best X as much as you can. Some of you have the genetics for it. Some of you are going to have to use, smoke and mirror trickery of posing plus pulling your suit up to the gods to make it pop out. Honey, whatever you have to do to get it only happens by way of knowing what it looks like on your body and then practicing it until you feel like you're going to throw up. The last thing I'll say about posing and why I keep stressing it is because when you learn how to pose, you build up a muscle endurance that you're going to need when you get on stage and you are nervous, you are dehydrated, and you feel like you're going to pass out and die, okay? It's harder to actually try to start building up muscle endurance then when you should have been building that up for the weeks leading into the show. And so get onto that posing, get onto that presentation, and really make it a part of your practical approach to competition prep. So ladies, I really hope that this was fruitful for you. I really hope that, I answered a lot of questions for you. One of the things that I will say is that I really want you guys to get into the habit of, hold on one second. I think I just lost myself here. I'm trying to switch my screen here. I really want you guys to get into the habit of taking care of your needs when it comes to what it is that you have to do to look your best on stage, okay? So this is what I want to do. I want to go into the comments here of so many comments. Oh my God. I love it. So let me pick some of these out and I'll start answering some questions. Amber says, first time competitor. My first show is October 26th. Prep starts in 5 weeks. Perfect, Amber. It sounds like you have enough time. Apply the tips that I talked about here. Get my contest prep crash course if you need some help as far as motivation and just getting yourself educated about the sport. And that's for each and every one of you guys. I started with 20 minutes of cardio. Now I'm doing an hour. Anita, Anita, you said you have 3 weeks out. That's pretty good. I mean, that's not a lot at all. I have some clients who are more advanced competitors who are doing 2 split sessions. Maybe they'll do 55 minutes in the morning where I really want to push it. And then later on in the day after their workouts, I'll have them do another 20 minutes of light HIIT or 30 minutes of HIIT and some steady state. But that's what we need for the last 3 weeks or so going in to bring them to that shredded conditioning. So for someone that's just starting out, that's really good. And that's not too much at all. Chunky J, I have a refeed meal tonight. Is it Chinky J? I don't know how to say your name. I'm sorry. I don't want to botch it, but I have a refeed meal tonight. Fantastic. If any ladies would like to connect on IG, I need come on, man. Don't be coming up in here trying to get my people to join your IG. We don't know you like that and stuff. Anyway, no soliciting in Roxy's chat, you guys. No soliciting in Roxy's chat. Let's see. If you have a 4-hour drive to your show, do you need to worry about holding water weight, etc.? How many days before the show do you need to head out? Perfect question. I love that. So guys, this is what I tell my competitors. First of all, if you're flying anywhere, if you're flying to your show, please fly in on don't fly in any later than Thursday. Fly in on Thursday if you can. If you can get there by Wednesday and just chill for 3 days, fantastic. Some of you can't do that. No later than Thursday because you want to be in Thursday morning fly in. So that way the entire Thursday you do nothing but sit in the bed. Friday you're going to do nothing but sit in the bed and all you're going to do is sleep until you have to tan and go for your meeting and that's it. Water retention is a thing, you guys, and what causes it is stress. So allow yourself enough time to arrive if you're flying. If you're driving, have somebody else drive you so you can sit in the passenger seat and kick your feet up and do nothing but drink water, sleep, and eat, and that's it. So that's what I tell all of my competitors to help them to be able to do what they have to do. Chunky J said, no, I'm not soliciting. I just need inspiration and friends to keep me motivated. Okay, no problem. I ain't hating on you. I understand. But that was it for the questions, you guys. Once again, thank you so much for joining me on today's video. Here, let me bring this up for you because before you leave, what I do want you to do is to make sure that you check out my contest prep crash course. Let me put this up here for you. Contest prep crash course, you guys. Listen, you got to get this ebook, okay? It's free. It's free. Rockstarfitness.com/CPCC. Okay, Rockstar Fitness, ROXSTAR fitness.com/CPCC. Get that ebook, everything that you need, greater detail than I went into today. Plus, I have bonus videos, competitor interviews, like posing videos, so much stuff for you guys to check out once you go ahead and you download the contest prep crash course and you have access to that particular dashboard, okay? And then finally, for those of you that are watching this right now and you're in the neighborhood for working with a coach, you want to work with me, come and talk to me, okay? Come and talk to me. I keep my competitor list or my client list pretty small just because I really like to be hands-on. My coaching is not just giving you a diet and training program, you guys. We are going to be working on mindset. We are going to be working on goal setting. We are going to be working on pushing your limits in the gym. You are going to be talking to me on the phone on a weekly basis. You're going to be sending me emails. You're going to be like so close to me that the only difference between me and somebody that you don't see in person is the fact that I'm not in the gym counting your reps for you. But everything else, I'm there to help you to become a better competitor. You know, again, I love this sport so much. I do. Even though I don't want to do it for myself anymore. But the lessons that I've learned and the things that I've gotten from it are all because of the fact that I just had a really great experience and a practical way of going about it. And I want to be able to impart that on other people because I know that there's some of you out there that want to do this and you don't know how to start and you don't have to be alone in the process. So rockstarfitness.com/claritycall. You can go ahead and find out we can talk about, what your needs are. And then I will go ahead and tell you about my prep program, my off-season program and stuff like that. Listen, you got to be ready to invest in yourself because I put a lot of work into this stuff. I put a lot of work into prepping and all that stuff. And, it's not going to be like Cheap Charlie. All right. But if you're there and you know that you want to work with someone who provides quality, that's there for you, and that's going to give you a step beyond anything you've ever imagined, this is for you. Imagine this class is what you get from me every single week when we're talking on the phone, when I'm in your ear, when I'm telling you what you need to do. This is the experience that my clients get, and they'll openly tell you that. We actually had a call before this, like about 2 hours before this, where I was talking to my clients and getting their head in the game, and helping them do what they have to do. This is what we do. All right. So go ahead and reach out to me, you guys. Thank you so much for joining me today. I am super, super, super happy to have you. Every single Monday, I am here, all right, giving you class every single Monday. I'm here to teach you new topics. So make sure that you subscribe right now. Click the like button if you're still here and get my notifications. Click the bell so you don't miss a thing. I cannot wait to connect with you guys again. And I just want you to have the most fantastic evening of your entire lives. Rock and roll and have a good evening. It's Roxy here signing off.